their browser history and erase trauma and nonsensical bullshit.
What's up?
Today we're going to have an interesting conversation, which is going to be a little bit about queering trauma from the browser history. We're also going to touch a little bit on karmic agreements and situations. Let's say there are karmic agreements or karmic arrangements or relationships that have maybe infiltrated your third dimensional experience. Karmic relationship, obviously, let's just say it's a belief system. If you believe that there is a karmic relationship that played out in your experience, then that is what your reality will show you. So if you don't believe in karmic relationships, this may or may not be the video for you. Feel free, if so behooves you, to listen to it about queering the emotional trauma and things like that. This is going to be specifically, because that's the way it came through, in regards to trauma bonds from karmic relationships. If you want to think about a karmic relationship, this doesn't have to be a relationship in terms of a lover. It does not have to be like that. A booty call, a situationship, whatever the fuck, it FWB.
No.
Typically, they end up that way because those are the relationships that humanoids tend to focus on the most. But I am telling you, a karmic relation can be anyone. A lot of you may already know that. It's not specifically just for like a romantical situation. So typically a karmic relationship, one that one would perhaps need healing from, is going to be someone that has like an ongoing repetitive cyclical pattern with you. That's typically how it can play out. Or it can just be someone who impacted your life so heavily from one instance that you know that had to have like a past tie to it. Not all karmic relationships are traumatic. Some you just might learn something from, some you might end up clearing your karma and then moving on together to greener pastures. And this is kind of what this video is going to talk about if you choose to proceed down that route. Some individuals don't want to speak to a karmic individual ever again, and whatever resonates with you resonates with you. They are going to be someone that you are just going to feel that you have known from another lifetime. You knew them from elsewhere. And I'm not talking about you ran into them at the beach when you were 5 years old and then you meet again when you're 15 and you're like, oh my god, I remember them. I mean, sometimes they can play out that way in like a synchronistic fashion, but it's going to go deeper than that. You're going to sense that you've known them from another lifetime, and if you know, you fucking know. I don't need to explain more on that. That's typically what a karmic is. Now, karmic relationship or karmic bond, as I said, can be anyone. It doesn't have to be necessarily romantical, but they are sent into your life and they are there in order to help liberate you from something that you want liberation from, that your soul chose to liberate itself from. Now, the thing with karmic relationships, if you want deeper, again, as I said, I have other videos on that, but with a karmic relationship, a lot of times those are the emotional debris type of energetic vibes that one tends to carry within them. It typically stems from a karmic situation. Now, it could come from elsewhere too, but the ones that are deeply embedded in the psyche of one's consciousness, they tend to be karmic simply because of the whole past life aspect with that other individual. Now, I'm not saying that an individual could never be traumatized by anyone that isn't a karmic, but being that karmics have many lifetimes under their belt, their energy tends to be noticed more. If we want to remove trauma from anywhere, any type of relationship, even like a small thing, we're going to get into how to do this now about clearing the browser history. So first thing I do want to say, if you have had resonance with a karmic relationship, do know that you can use the delete button. You can wipe the entire slate clean if you choose to do so. That essentially performed, whatever moment you decide to perform that, will work for every other lifetime. So let's say you're a hard body knowing that whoever is a karmic situation, you know that you had other lifetimes with them. Maybe you'll have other lifetimes with them in the future. We know time doesn't exist, we know the topic. But you just want to clear everything. Now, this is going to clear shit from future timeline lifetimes. That was a tongue twister, but it's all good. This is a way that you can clear everything, and then you have a brand new slate. Just like, let's say you have a phone and then you just reset the entire phone. This is what it is. This is a karmic reset, what we're gonna do. And this is clearing lifetimes before. It's clearing this lifetime now that you're aware of your focal point in the 3D Earth Matrix, and it's clearing future timelines of potentiality. Okay, but you have to stick with it. You have to know that you're ready to clear that karma. Okay, now again, as I said, if you choose to proceed with speaking to the individual after that, that's totally up to you. You don't have to. Just for you, it's really good to do an emotional psyche thought process cleansing every once in a while. Okay, especially like if there's a situation that maybe you've been lingering, or it just feels like you just want to let shit go. Okay, you press reset and clear the history. How you do that. Now you're gonna go in and you're gonna think of like whatever happened, okay, and it's gonna be different for everyone, okay, because trauma is not objective. So whatever traumatized you in regards to this individual, you want to get down to the root cause of it, and you want to see if you've had a pattern or an experience of that at any point before you met this individual. You want to see if they just played a role in terms of what character you projected upon them to play. Because a lot of times someone will have repetitive karmic situations, and there's like different motherfuckers coming in, and they all could be of like a karmic nature, but sometimes the motherfucker didn't get the memo with the first karmic, so then the second karmic has to come in and deliver the message even bolder. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, or it could fluctuate. You know, there could be a karmic situation that seems like a similar situation. It's really traumatizing, then someone dealt with a karmic situation and then it was less traumatizing, but it was like of a similar vein of what that situation was. Do you see what I'm saying? So karmic individuals that are part of a pattern, that pattern has to do with you. This is the first thing that we're going to clear, because remember, the common denominator is you. It's not saying that there was like a karmic individual and then they gave you $8 million or some shit, you know what I'm saying, like out of nowhere, and that changed your life, and that was a good situation, and that could have been a karmic individual too, like you knew that you knew them from somewhere, but they helped you out and it wasn't traumatic, and that was like maybe it was a one-time event. That's fucking amazing, you know what I'm saying? But like, you see, not all karmic situations are negative, but if it's like a one and done type of deal where someone just comes out of nowhere, you learn something from them, great, perhaps they really were a little bit of a traumatic experience, then that is something betwixt you and that individual. But typically a karmic will come in most cases, just from what I've seen, a repetitive pattern. There can be a one and done type of deal, like I said, someone just hands you $8 million and you're on your way, like, whoa, but I know that motherfucker from a past lifetime. Okay, whatever it is, right? But typically they'll be surrounded by a pattern, and that pattern is in relation to you, and they are just coming into your experience because you and them had an agreement karmically, and that's all that means. It means that there's an agreement to meet up in another lifetime, and for them to help you liberate yourself from whatever that was. So when we're in this situation where there's a repetitive pattern, you want to go and you want to see, you are the common denominator, because I promise you, in most cases of karmic patterns like this, you're going to see something. You're going to notice right away, and it might have to do with different individuals. Now, this is something going on inside you. So wherever that traumatic experience happened, think of the most traumatic thing that occurred with whatever karmic person, and see if it has any type of relevance to any other karmic person that you might have encountered as well. And then you want to go into the most traumatic event, even if they're all similar events, but there's one that stands out. You would go to that one, you just step right up, you come through and you handle your business, and you time travel into that situation. Look at that individual, okay, and you're doing this mentally. This might be a little taboo, but you go in, and this is going to depend, okay? This is going to depend because everyone is different, so I don't necessarily want to tell you what to do, but you're going to go in and you're going to look at that individual, the karmic individual, the most traumatic situation that happened. Okay, this applies anywhere, anytime, any way you want to utilize it, but you are going to go back in timing and time travel in your mind, and this is going to be something that you want to focus on. This is not going to be something you're doing while you're watching fucking Stranger Things, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that you want to focus on, you want to give your undivided attention to it. Ideally, you would want to be alone, no interruptions, okay? If you want to have like a pet with you there, I would suggest that. that if you resonate with that, but no other type of sentient adult or child or someone that can take you out of this headspace, because we going in deep, okay? We going balls deep up in this motherfucker. If you just go to the most traumatic, that's like the granddaddy of the fucking root of it, then you kind of just hit them all. It's kind of like dominoes, like psh, it just knocks them all over, okay? It erases all that karmic shit, it dissolves it. You go in and you look at that motherfucker. It's just you and them. Picture whatever setting, whatever's comfortable for you, or wherever you might expect to see that motherfucker, and you're gonna see them standing there. And even if this was like, let's say something that happened years ago, they might look different today. You're gonna picture them as the version that they looked like when the trauma happened. So this is legit time traveling. This is not you picturing them how they look now. This is you going back to that exact moment before the trauma happens. You want to look at a motherfucker, you want to size them up, you want to feel them, because this is your future self coming in to save the day to the past. This is your future self swooping in, and this is going to cause these timeline shift throughout the future, because it's going to resonate in all the waves. Like I said, domino effect again, it's going to affect the future reality. This is going to lessen the blow. You're going to go in there, you're going to see them alone. You're going to sensationalize how the trauma felt in that moment, whatever it was, okay? Like I always say, like a paper cut could be traumatizing to someone. So whatever traumatized you, that's between you and that motherfucker with this exercise, okay? It ain't none of my business. Motherfucker A might not be traumatized by something that motherfucker B is. So just whatever traumatized you specifically, you go into that area, that motherfucker, because now you're coming from the future, you're coming back to the future, back from the future, back to the past from the future. You're gonna know what's gonna happen, right? Because you already experienced it in a parallel reality. But because you want to change it, you just want to go in and you see that motherfucker standing there. What do you want to do to them? I'm gonna let you fill in the blank. What do you want to say to them? How do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think? If you were able to prevent that trauma from occurring before it happened, what would you say to yourself? What would you tell yourself to do? If you knew that you were going to prevent something, how would you be feeling? What would you be thinking? What would be your thought process, knowing that, like, whoo, dang, that's out of the way. You kind of swerve that. Now, it sounds very simple. If you want to write down those questions, because I'm telling you, I promise you, it's going to be different for everyone. And I asked all those questions specifically. I don't remember what the fuck they are now, but if you wrote them down, or maybe you should go back in the video and then write them down if you haven't, because those questions I asked you, they're very specific and go in that order that I said. We're doing this other motherfucker first, and then we're going to you. But what would you do? Now, there's no wrong answer. So if you saw this motherfucker, whoever it is, the karmic individual, right, from your vantage point now, what would you do to them? There's no right or wrong answer, because you're in your mind. And the reason why I'm telling you to do this in your mind is because if you don't let pent-up hostilities out in a healthy way, such as this exercise, and I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I ain't none of that. I just want to clear that, okay? I'm a psychic channeler on the fucking YouTube, so you do what you want. But I'm telling you, if you just ask these questions out, and if you think in your mind that you see this individual, you want to yell at them, you want to shout at them, whatever you want to do, you do that in your mind, because you need to let it out. Some of y'all might want a punching bag as you're performing this exercise. Listen, ain't nothing wrong with that, because you're not doing anything to them in the physical. Like I'm not telling you go fuck with them in the physical, okay? I'm seeing in your mind, what do you want to do? You want to yell at them? You want to tell them that they're stupid, that they're whatever the fuck they are? You go in and you go ham on this motherfucker in your mind, if you feel like you need to. Not everyone's going to feel like they need to. And I'm telling you, the reason why I'm telling you to do this, it can be considered taboo. It can be considered taboo. Oh, why are you preaching to like go in someone's mind and yell at them? No, it's not bringing you negativity. It's not bringing you negativity. It's you letting out your frustrations in that old timeline, so that you don't carry the rage with you to the new timeline. Because remember, in this exercise, we go back in time. Your future self is going to the past you who is about to be traumatized by this individual, or who just was traumatized by this individual, what would your past you have done differently in that situation? Would you yell at them? Would you prevent them from doing it? Would you just flip the fuck out? Whatever the fuck, okay? Because now it's going to dissipate that rage from the past into the future, because you're going back into the past from the vantage point now, and you're clearing the rage already in your mind energetically. You're doing fucking house sweep. That's what you're doing. You are going in there and you are dissipating all the rage, anger, whatever negative emotion in that moment. If you're having a literal fist fight with this motherfucker astrally in the moment that occurs or whatever, you got it out. That's it. You're not going to carry it with you anymore. You ain't doing nothing to them in this timeline. I'm not endorsing that, okay? Some of you may have already done something to them in this lifetime. I don't know, whatever the fuck. I'm not saying physically harm anyone. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is for you, an exercise for you, because it's going to dissipate all the rage that's going to get bottled up in that moment, because however you felt traumatized now, it turns into rage. It might turn into guilt or fear or shame or whatever the fuck it turned into. All of those emotions. So again, I'm just using this one with rage, but it could be fear, it could be guilt, it could be whatever shitty emotion that was going on in that situation. You're time traveling in there, you're asking yourself how you feel, blah 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 blah. You're doing all that, you're experiencing. It's not like you're reliving it, but you're kind of visiting it from the future scope of you're still here, you're still chilling through that trauma, but you're here. So you say whatever you had to say to that motherfucker in the past from your future vantage point, okay? Some of you might want to be compassionate to that karmic individual, okay? Some of you might want to give that karmic individual a hug, because maybe you realize that motherfucker had no clue what they were even doing and they didn't mean any harm by it, okay? This is why I'm saying it's be different for everyone. These are just some examples, but again, this is not telling you feel guilty or something about that situation, so then you reach out to them now, and then no, I'm not saying do anything, tell them anything now. This is strictly an exercise that you perform by yourself, where you let all of those emotions remain in that timeline. You make sure you dissipate it. So if it takes you a few times to go in and you visit that same motherfucker every night, you're meeting up, right? But you're not doing it in a malicious way. Yes, you're letting out anger, but you're also helping yourself, and you're helping to liberate them too. Now, some of you don't click off the video. Some of you might, I don't want to help that motherfucker, but you help them because that karmic tie is going to be broken. Now it's going to be dissolved. So you liberate them from you and you from them. So it is helping them, but it's helping you, because you're not going to help yourself without helping them, because they're the other end of the equation. Do you see what I'm saying? They're the opposite end of the pole of that karmic agreement, whatever that was. There was an agreement. You and this motherfucker, boom, you signed that agreement, however, astrally and energetically. So you release yourself from that bind. You let all of the emotions out, anger, rage, sadness, whatever the fuck, cry it out, yell it out, kick it out, scream it out, okay? By yourself. You do that. You feel every emotion. You ask yourself all those questions. And then now, after that's released, if you've had to go in, let's say you went in 3 days and you did that, okay? Now you feel lighter in your physical vessel. Now you've released that in the past, because you're going to know that you released it, because let's say you go into that same, mentally, whatever, you go in and you observe this motherfucker, and then you go in on like the 4th day and you don't feel anything towards them. You're just like, okay, whatever. Like, you know what the fuck you carry within you, right? Those type of emotions and shit. When it no longer feels heavy or constricted or restricted, that is how you know that shit is dissolved. But you always want to visit them in that same exact place. Don't bring no garbage to the fucking future, homie. Don't bring it. We already took out the trash. The trash is dissolved. The trash is transmuted into beautiful fucking amazing shit, okay? You go in when you know that you're neutral and there's nothing, no resentful type of energy towards this individual. You go in as your future self, and you, however, whatever resonates with you, bless that situation, that it is healed and all nonsense has been dissipated. Again, you use whatever fucking words resonate with you, okay? But you go in as your God self and you bless that situation. You're like, poof, be gone, motherfucker. That's what you do. Only do that after you know that you don't harbor any type of heavy emotion towards that individual, okay? And this is going to be different for everyone. When you go in and you let all of those emotions out, but you look at it from the past perspective, that's why I'm saying it's very important that you see them from that past. You picture them how they looked in that past. That version of them no longer exists, nor does that version of you. That's done. It's over. That's why whenever you're over it, you go in and you bless that entire entire situation from your future self, your God self, the one who sees with the eye. You see what that is. Be gone. Karma is cleared. And because it cleared from that past, right? Because remember, you're visiting the past. All future timelines are not even going to show that trauma. Because remember, you cleared it from the past. That's why I kept telling you, go into that past. Ask yourself those questions, do little exercises, whatever, however long it takes. Then you're going to finally go in from the past. You see it as whole and clear. It is blessed. You bless it. However the fuck resonates with you. Bless it. And then that timeline where the trauma happened is no longer going to exist, because the past you has been blessed by your future self, which is the you now going in and doing that. It's all healed. There's nothing to carry in the future with you. So you're going to notice that now you're going to even feel more uplifted, like that trauma never even happened, or it happened but it was like a distant memory, or it happened but it wasn't as traumatic as you maybe have originally thought it was. And in this timeline now, that's it. That dissolves the fucking agreement, because you've emancipated that individual from being bonded to you with that trauma bond of a karmic situation. You emancipated yourself from it, you emancipated them from it. You can move forward into whatever timelines without any type of karmic bonds. And this includes like future lifetimes and other dimensions, things like that, because you cleared it from the root. You got all the gunk out. Let's just say you got all the gunk out, ain't nothing there. There's nothing else going on, because everything is now and time doesn't exist. It only exists from a linear perspective. Now everything is good, everything is healed, everything is cleared betwixt you and that individual. And obviously you could do this for different individuals, multiple individuals, whatever it is, but especially if you feel it was like a karmic bond, now all the pathways are clear. So let's say you do want to speak to this individual again, you certainly can, because that it's done. Like, you're released from whatever that message was, okay? Or if you don't want to speak to them ever again, you're not going to cross paths with them, or if you do, it's going to be pleasant. Because remember, as you went in and you changed yourself from being traumatized to empowered by that situation, they changed as well, because you cleared it. You cleared the whole thing, so you're not carrying any resentment towards them in any future timelines, and they're not bound to you by that resentment. And who knows, maybe they had resentment towards you. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Because remember, the other motherfucker is always you. This is a whole other topic, but if you really want to look at it, when we say the all, if everyone is part of the all, everyone is everyone else. So you clear it from that root, from your knowledge now. Even if you did have a past life with them, that another shitty situation happened, that past life is cleared too. All of the timelines are cleared at that juncture point, because you went in, you cleared it, and you released it. And because you released those energies in yourself, now that other person isn't bound to you, because they're not picking up on your resentful energy towards them. So that is what you do. You time travel, clear the browser history, and you release that motherfucker. Let that motherfucker go. You can now declare that you're not going to experience any more karmic motherfuckers. You can experience motherfuckers that are karmic from past lives, but maybe now they're a different breed of karmics. They're like that karmic motherfucker who gave you the $8 million out of nowhere. This is to release like shitty karmic bonds, because in this moment now your soul is free. When you go in, and let's say you have multiple timelines of different motherfuckers that you want to heal, karmic or not, you go in, you heal those timelines now, you go back in after that and you bless it from your future self. That's clearing past. It's clearing the future. It's open road for you right now to go in any direction you choose with whoever the fuck you choose. But you cannot bring any type of resentment or anger or guilt or fear or shame or whatever the fuck with you. If you're carrying that within you, you might encounter that again. You see what I'm saying? Because the energy is within you. They're just the messenger, just like you were a messenger for them. So that is how you clear out karmic ties. You also can set the intention that you will encounter no more shitty karmic situations. If you encounter motherfuckers from other lifetimes, that shit gonna be good vibes and good vibes only. And you can also take out the word karmic if it so behooves you, right? Let's say you believed in karmics, but now you're kind of like, you're not on board with it. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm not really feeling that word, so poof. I'm only meet magical motherfuckers from now on. That's what I have for you today. Gracias, Luca, thank you for joining us on this wonderful stroll. I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. We will chit-chat again soon.